This is the business of Africa. If it's about Africa, then it's our business, bringing big and small business issues right to your doorstep. Hello and welcome to the Business of Africa with a different feel. In this episode, we're coming to you live from the Bloomberg Africa Business Summit, an official sideline event of B20 South Africa 2025. And the aim is to address critical issues shaping the continent's future, looking at some of the most pressing economic challenges facing not only Africa, but the world. It is at this summit that we meet an online, yes, people, livestock trading startup. All right, it's a great pleasure to be joined by Russell Luck. He is the co-CEO of SwiftVEE, or co-founder of SwiftVEE. He joins us to tell us more about the business. Russell, thank you so much for your time. I think when I first heard about your business, an online livestock trading platform, I was gobsmacked because what does that mean?
Hi, Dudu. So you weren't the only one who was gobsmacked. I mean, everyone that I knew was gobsmacked. I was a technology attorney, very successful in our space. And when I told everyone that I saw what AI is going to bring and it's going to take, lawyers are not going to have jobs and I want to get into something sustainable like agriculture, they're like, are you crazy? You think that machines are going to take human beings' jobs and lawyers' jobs? You dreaming. And then I told them online livestock trading, which was big in America and Europe, but never done here. You think people are going to buy livestock on a telephone? Are you dreaming? This will never work. And you are the worst person to do it. You can barely change a car tire. But so we are an online livestock trading company. In essence, if you were at a auction to buy cattle, seeing the asset in real time to assess the value of it. It's not a car or a property where a picture is enough. You must see it, the thing moving around. And so you need a live video feed, which is exactly in time with the floor bidders. So we create a technology where we go out and live stream an auction. So someone can sit at home from anywhere in the world and bid in real time for livestock and game against people on the floor. And we connect to this fragmented value chain. And that's what we do.
What a way to pivot and look at you now. How easy or difficult was that transition and why agriculture?
So everything I've ever done is difficult. I don't know why. Everything is hard. That's point one. Maybe I'm a sucker for punishment. So my hypothesis was that AI would take most of the jobs in the world. I'm in Africa. I was with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, but we love our continent and we're not going anywhere. So the opportunity then, if you're a tech person, is populations are going to rise. You've got to create food in greater quantities using less space with which to do so. And agriculture and minerals is always going to be our competitive edge in global markets. And so livestock trading is where I wanted to go to because no one had done it here. And I saw there were huge inefficiencies in the value chain. So connecting that fragmented value chain, if you solve a big problem, you'll get a big reward. But wow, it was a hard problem to solve and we're still at it. But thank God, all okay.
Which markets do you operate in? Is that even a question? Because it's online. So how does that work? One would assume, well, I guess you just pop up a video or a camera and then you record and that's it. And maybe it's just one place, but maybe you can explain your operating model for us and your markets.
So I also thought it would be that simple before I started the business. And I was horrified to realize that it's not that simple. So we send teams out. So we live stream an auction. So our markets: South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia. We trade about $100 million worth of livestock and game through our platform each year. So we have good critical mass. And we send teams to these different these different territories who, while the auction is happening, set up all audiovisual equipment and clerk and run the auction so that people at home can follow the auction, see the quality of the animals and bid in real time. We then also layer fintech, insurtech, and data products. So like if you're buying a high value ticket item, like a cow or a property or a car or whatever, you don't only want to purchase it online. You also need to insure it online, finance it online, and the user movements create data products, which are very valuable in order to kind of upsell fintech and insurtech solutions.
So this would be e-commerce also on a different level, which is said to be booming on the African continent. When we take a look at the business itself, maybe you can talk to us about the composition of your business. We spoke a little bit earlier on and you mentioned that there's quite a high number of females also involved in this particular space. Why was that important?
So for sure, first of all, it wasn't important. I didn't particularly look to assemble a team of any particular composition. I don't care if you're purple, green, a Martian or astronaut. If you're the best, then it'll be a privilege to work with you. And all I do as CEO is find the smartest, best people I can, and say, here's a canvas, paint your masterpiece, I'll support you in it. That's my job. But in our company, it just so happens that SwiftVEE is a group of lionesses. We have about 60% of our whole company is female co-founder, Christine van Breda, mention her by name, and about 75% of all our leadership positions are held by women. So I think what that shows is in a very traditional industry like agriculture, the future is female, and success is to those who are daring enough to achieve it. Yeah.
We've been hearing about the so-called risk premium of doing business on the African continent. What has been your experience?
So I think Africa is filled with opportunities, but all that we get sold on are its challenges. I don't think there's a particular risk premium in Africa. There are business risks everywhere. You do business in China and they don't protect intellectual property and copyrights protections and people counterfeit goods. That's a huge risk, but people do business in China all the time. And I can make the same case for multiple markets. So Africa has its challenges, but I don't think it's a risk premium. We have infrastructure issues. We have various things, but Africa is a great continent to do business on. We have a real competitive edge in resources. And as the world becomes more resource intense in order to produce the huge data centers, AI centers, smartphones, things like cobalt, copper, minerals, and our ability to feed the whole world is a major competitive edge. And I wouldn't be anywhere else other than Africa. It's a wonderful place to live and do business.
You mentioned that perhaps you are a sucker for pain in terms of actually putting the work in, right, to not only start the business, but to keep it going. You speak to some businesses, particularly medium to small enterprises or small to medium enterprises, and they will tell you that access to markets is a problem, raising capital is a problem. And so what were some of the challenges that you dealt with when it came to that, if at all?
Every day is a challenge. Number one, I experienced all those challenges and more. Access to capital in our continent is a challenge. However, I believe it's a misnomer in that great businesses will always find people to invest in them because there are investors and huge pools of capital and they're looking for opportunities. I mean, we had to do our seed funding round during the Zuma years when there was like huge political instability and challenges and load shedding and all of that. And we managed to raise capital with great investors who supported us. And from there, we grew. So yes, fundraising is a problem, but it's not as much of a problem as people like to use to explain away why their businesses aren't successful. I'd say a huge problem in our continent is that we have created, in the tech world, we've created a generation of great tech entrepreneurs who chase grants and social impact support instead of profitable companies. And I mean, in saying that, we are hugely grateful to any institution that funds and helps our entrepreneurs in our ecosystem. But if you find great entrepreneurs and the money out there is not venture capital, but it's like grant, then they're going to position their business for grants. And if you're positioning your business for grants, you are not going to build a profitable business. I think that founders need to create businesses where they go, I need to make a profit. I need to provide a return for shareholders and investors. And if they have that as their primary goal, like they'll always do well. Founders love to talk about how much they raised as a metric of success. We've raised relatively small capital compared to many peers. And you should feel nauseous when you're raising capital because of the responsibility to return that capital to investors, as opposed to this metric that everybody applauds. What I'm proudest of is that we've made 25x return to our angel investors, in 5 years, and 25x return is superb. And when you're doing things like that, and if other founders can do that, they will not struggle to raise capital. They will bring foreign investment from outside our continent into the ecosystem because those are great returns. But that's what they must think about.
And of course, every business looks to scale, no different with SwiftVEE.
Correct. So we are Pan-African at the moment. We have closed the Series A funding round, which we'll be announcing shortly. And we look to scale, I can't talk about it too much yet, but we look to be scaling into North America, which will be a tremendous achievement and also responsibility for an African ag tech company to kind of set the trajectory and a precedent for other African companies to go and show that they can go and make it in America. So that's our next big.
Speaking of responsibility, you're also quite involved in impact work. Why is that for SwiftVEE?
Thank you for bringing that up, Tudo. I appreciate it. So firstly, on impact, I challenge the idea, any business creates social impact. If you are feeding a family, that's incredible social impact, and we need that. We need people to stay and build companies, whether it's a coffee shop or a luxury goods business or something that's tremendously focused on, say, financially excluded markets. Please come, please stay, please build our continent. We need all of you and everyone, all shapes of entrepreneurs. What we do by connecting fragmented value chains with our technology is we've given an opportunity to, say, smallholder farmers who are taking the animals to a local auction. They are able now to secure buyers, online buyers from global markets. And so they're getting much higher selling prices. And they're also able to access like training material and breeder society courses and farm information days to actually upskill, improve the quality of their genetics and their breeds. So we've taken smallholder farmers and made them commercial farmers now who are making over R500,000 online, which is great. And I think we made over $10 million of hard financial benefits in online sales for smallholder farmers in about 4.5, 5 years. So we do that. Climate impact, we solve the problem of drought because during drought periods, cattle dies on the land because local buyers aren't buying because they've got nowhere to keep the animals because there's no water around. But through online buyers and our technology, we are able to take those animals and sell them to another region which doesn't have drought. So we address that. And then sustainable agriculture, Africa Chamber of Commerce just awarded us this year best company in Africa for sustainable agriculture because of the prices that we give and making farming sustainable.
You know, as you speak, I'm thinking, okay, if I were an investor, if I was somebody who wants to perhaps purchase cattle, a lot of people would think of the traditional way of doing it, going and actually seeing the stock for yourself. And so you touched on insurance a little bit earlier on. So if you purchase stock online and you're not quite happy with it, how does that process work?
So that's a great question. And that's why, going back to the first point, you want to see the animal in real time, and a live video of the animal is so important because you want to see the stock. And then we basically have a number of insurance partners. Kuda, I think, is our primary partner this year, but we are very exciting to make announcements to make with new partners next year. But after you buy the animal at the auction, you can then digitally purchase goods in transit insurance or risk and mortality cover. So a whole bunch of digital insurance solutions you can are embedded in our ecosystem, and digital finance solutions. I'll add on that we not only do online livestock trading, we have two other platforms. One's called PriceWise, which is an agri-inputs trading platform where you can purchase, fertilizer, cattle feed, etc. We did a collaboration with Nedbank. It's the biggest ag tech collaboration with the big five in our industry, where you can purchase agri-inputs and get agri-input finance through Nedbank. So it's an example of our other trading platform where we embed finance, fintech, insurtech, and data solutions in our ecosystem.
The outlook for the business.
Thank God, a business is just a collection of people, and the strength of our company has always been our people. So, and in saying that, our outlook is very bright because I often don't have confidence in myself, but I look at the people on the other end of my Zoom screen in the morning and I back them 100%, and I'll go to war with them any day of the week. And I think 99% of the time they'll go to war with me too. But when I have great people around me, that's what gives us the confidence to do great things. We hope to be the first African agtech company to secure a major joint venture with a major player in the United States and put agtech on the map and show the world that Africa is filled with excellence and we can be leaders in global markets.
It is so. Russell Luck, thank you very much for joining us, co-founder of SwiftVEE. And a big thank you to you for choosing the Business of Africa podcast. Do catch us again in the next fortnight, where we bring big and small business issues around the continent right to your doorstep. Bahaichu, Bula.